450 days of consecutive marathons effectively, because my minimum distance was a marathon. We've scrambled a helicopter from Campbellton and they'll be with you in 11 minutes.
Today I get to meet one of my heroes, Chris Howard, otherwise known as Chris the Coast Walker. He's known for walking the whole of the UK. He came back home, he got bored, decided to row around the whole of the UK. Right.
Yeah.
And he's done a lot of other challenges, like 15 marathons in 15 days or something.
I did 15 marathons, 15 days in all 15 national parks in the UK. Yeah. I rode the Atlantic as well. I've done lots of stupid. I've cycled across Europe. I've done loads. But you shouldn't meet your heroes though. You know that, don't you?
They do say that. They haven't been too bad so far. It's been alright.
Nobody's ever said that. It's one of my heroes. So I can't believe it for a start. So we'll just take that as jest.
So with the walking around the UK, what was your pack size? Where did you sleep that night?
Well, I started in the summer, and so my pack size was quite small. I started with a 35 litre Deuter. Is that how you say it?
Not sure.
It's backpack, yeah, Deuter. I'm sure it's like a German brand, Deuter. Great backpack, I loved it, and now I basically use that as a day sack. Yeah. But I didn't have a lot because I didn't need a heavy sleeping bag. I just had a very lightweight micro dot type thing. Yeah. I had very little in the way of clothing, so I was basically walking in lightweight running shorts most days. I think I clocked my weight in at about 11.5 kilos when I started. Right. And that included a jet boil, my gas, some food provision, change of socks, stuff like that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, not too bad. And my tent, obviously, which was just under a kilo. But when I progressed round, because of lockdowns and various other things, and by the time I got to Scotland it was going into winter, so I changed my pack size and I went into a Osprey 65 litre I think it was.
Oh, right, yeah.
And so considerably bigger, doubled size.
Yeah.
And I think I changed my sleeping bag out then for the down one, which was still lightweight, but it was bulkier, and I had a bulkier setup in terms of layers and things like that. Yeah. So, and because Scotland was more remote, I ended up carrying more food and more gas just in case. So I think I went up to about 25 kilos, which is heavy, really.
And you must have struggled with water as well. It's on the coast.
In Scotland, no.
Yeah.
Because it's on the coast, but every burn or stream you see is so pure, and I barely needed a water filter. And quite often I didn't use a filter. I had like a life straw and things like that, but I felt that the water was so clean I didn't really need it. And to be honest, parts of Wales I had that as well.
Yeah.
The waterfalls, for example, just filling up the waterfalls, so that was amazing. But I always made sure that I had a plastic 1.5 litre bottle of water. Like the little, do you remember like the green Pellegrino waters, or like fizzy water type bottles?
Right, yeah.
I used to carry one of those like as my spare water for the night, because I'd use my bottle that I was drinking in the day, but keep that one in my side of my bag, and that would be enough for me to cook food and have like a hot drink before I went to sleep. And that was enough.
Trying to stick to dehydrated meals all the time.
Yeah, so I went for a mixture of dehydrated meals, but heavily supplemented with things like super noodles, or because they're so lightweight, easy to find, cheap, and really, really lightweight. So I could carry 5 or 6 of those at a time without even noticing it. Yeah. But calorie-wise, one pack of those would give me so many carbs and salt replacement. So quite a lot of salt in them too. Yeah. So it was good for electrolyte, really.
No, that's good. You said you took a laser compact too,
My Terra Nova laser compact 2, which I love. I know there's a Terra Nova, whatever it is, a 1 and a 2. Yeah. I had the 2 because I thought, well, if I got the 2, then I can keep my backpack in the tent with me, and if anything goes wrong or if it gets really bad conditions wise, at least my stuff's going to stay dry as well. And like I was saying before, it's really a great tent, but I wouldn't want to sleep with 2 people in it. I slept with my brother-in-law in there one night where we had a bit of a storm and his tent failed, so he got in with me. You don't want to sleep with 2 people in the Terra Nova Laser Combat 2. It's just not ideal.
They make quite a lot of tents now, 100 kilos, don't they? It seems to be a growing trend.
Yeah, and I think it's all about, like camping and being outdoors has become massive. Probably before COVID, but since then I think it's through the roof. People want to be outside, want to do challenges and challenge themselves. So there's this like fast packing community, for example, where you it's a bit snobbery as well, because like you want to get the lightest pack possible, the lightest tent possible, the lightest weight clothing possible, the lightest food, the lightest water.
I got a couple of friends who are extreme ultralighters.
Yeah.
My one friend, his pack weight is 3.8 kilos.
Yeah. Wow.
Everything.
That's like,
that's crazy.
I mean, I know people that run with more weight in terms of like energy gels for running marathons and stuff. It's like that 3.5 kilos.
That's just a tent. There's sleeping mat, sleeping bag, spare clothes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I
think they're obsessive with it. You can't get it right done.
Yeah, I mean, you can do lots of things to cut grams down, and I mean, I did that with the boat and rowing. It's been drummed into me, like, cut out the excess weight. If it doesn't have more than one job, get rid of it, and I kind of applied that to my camping, but at the same time, there's that element of, okay, what am I really going to need? If I'm travelling around the northwest of Scotland, I'm not going to see people for 5-6 days at a time. Well, food is pretty vital, and I'd rather carry the weight and know that I'm happy and fed well, or like at least able to get to the next place. But I think it is amazing. You can really obsess over this lightweight stuff, and what people are capable of doing on very little is amazing. And I don't just mean calories and food, but I mean you must have to really grin and bear the discomfort if you're carrying 3.5 kilos in your sleeping bag.
That's it.
You know, it's pretty.
You haven't got room for any luxuries then if you're going like.
I mean, if someone said to me,
cards.
No, well, not even a. Yeah, I mean, how much does a phone weigh now? Like, 'cause that's probably a chunk of that 3.5 kilos. Is
200 grams maybe.
Yeah, and when you're counting doing that, you have to consider it all. So I'd be thinking, like, if someone said to me, "Oh, right, you've got to get from, I don't know, A to B on the coast, and it's 100 miles, and you've got 3 days to do it," then I might consider, 3.5 kilos, and I'll just put up with it because I know it's only 3 days.
Yeah.
But if I was going out for any longer than 3 days, 3 or 4 days,
if it was a long trip, you'd want to be stopping in some hostels.
But also I just think I'd want those extra bits of comfort that are going to ensure I get to the end. Because anybody can pretty much put up with the misery for 3 days. You can. You're all mentally capable of doing it and physically. But if you've got to do that, this is what people used to say to me. Oh, you should only have 12.5 kilos of this, that, and the other. And I say, yeah, well, okay, you're taking that for 5 or 6 days camping across Brecons or Snowdonia. I'm living my life out here for over a year.
How long did it take you actually?
So it's 450 days in total. So it's 450 days of consecutive marathons, effectively, because my minimum distance was a marathon every day. So,
no way. Yeah.
And I did one day 44 miles, which a lot of people would do without even thinking about it. It's not a problem, but I was carrying on me. Well, I didn't. This is the annoying thing. I was doing it for charity, obviously, and I wanted to do something for the charity's 40th anniversary, so I said I'd do a 40-mile day. And I was carrying.
Do it from charity from the start, then.
Yeah. I was. And in the beginning, it was demoralising because nobody knew who I was, nobody knew what I was doing, and I didn't really feel that it was worthwhile. But by the time I got sort of down the east coast and along the south coast to Plymouth, suddenly people were paying attention because my story built along the way, and obviously social media is such an amazing thing. People that I was meeting on the East Coast knew people on the South Coast and further around the country and something, and it just grew.
Where was your starting point then? Was it a high spot? Did you when you got to the Isle of Skye?
Yeah,
so far into it were you?
That's quite a fair way. So I started on the East Coast. Yeah. My first day, I took in the most easterly point. So I started at Heacham South Beach, which is in Norfolk. That's the closest coastline to where I live, which is quite cool because I live in Cambridge and my sister-in-law lives in Derbyshire, and we are equidistant from the same coast, which is a cool fact because I learned that nobody in the UK is more than 84 miles from a coastline, which is pretty cool.
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, I mean we are an island still, you know, people don't think about it, but yeah.
I think it'd be more than that actually, because
exactly.
That's quite wide at some points.
Yeah, but no, but then you look at like Hadrian's Wall, that trail, that's less than 80 miles across, isn't it? So, but I learned so many interesting facts about the geography of the UK, like even the perception of the coast itself. So not long before I did the walk, Ross Edgley, the swimmer, amazing adventure athlete, he swam the coast of Britain. He was the first man in history to do it. He's become very famous, and he's done a lot of challenges since. He's really nice guy. But he swam the whole coast of Britain, and to swim around in a loop of Britain is 2,000 miles because it's almost like a concentric circle, which is great. But to walk around it is 11,500 miles because there's so many nooks and crannies and inlets and rivers that you've got to go up and down. So
because I saw the 11,000 miles, I was thinking it must be further than that to swim.
Yeah, if you ask people, like it's a great pub quiz thing. If you ask people how far they think the coast of Britain is or what distance and mileage is, nobody ever gets it right. They all say 2,000 to 3,000 miles. Yeah. But they don't account for all the inlets and the rivers and the stuff. You know, it's like even in places like Suffolk, you've got the River Deben and things like that. They're almost like a tree. Here in just up the road is Carmarthen, right? Yeah. And so even this estuary at Pencloud, you're going to come all the way inland to Carmarthen to go back out to St Clair's and then all the way down to Larne, and it's like a tree in the. It's an amazing thing, but and obviously a lot of the coastline is privately owned, so there's quite a few diversions inland because of that.
Right.
So that's
army ranges and things like that.
Yeah, a lot of MOD land and a lot of just private stately homes or gated communities. Often you'll find that people just don't want you near land, so they'll put their own homemade signs up saying "keep out," and they technically can't do it. So I used to just rightly or wrongly ignore them and carry on. But it's a shame because I think it's something like England's coast path is not like the Welsh coast path. Wales is amazing because the whole coast is accessible. Right. It's like 800 odd miles on the The whole coast path is brilliant. Yeah. And I think it's the only country in the world with a whole joined up coastline that's accessible, which is pretty cool. England's.
There was a place near Pembrokeshire, there's an army range, isn't there?
As that at Combe Martins or
times
off the Barrafundle Bay.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, amazing place. Really good.
Yeah.
You can only walk at certain times, but they do make it very clear, so it's quite easy.
Yeah, I've been as far as St Goven's Chapel.
That's it. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing there, isn't it?
It's brilliant. Yeah. And that's actually in the army range, so certain times when they're testing, you're not allowed to go in there.
Yeah, you know the story about the bishop there at St Goven's Chapel?
It's like a hermit or something.
He was a bit of a hermit, but there was pirates that attacked from the coast on that line. So and then they attacked further inland, and he took the ship's bell from the pirate ship, so they wouldn't be able to signal each other and things like that. And he hid it at St Goven's Chapel somewhere in the rocks below chapel, and they say now that if you sit there long enough and look out to sea, you'll hear the bell sound at some point.
That's cool, yeah.
And then Barafundle Bay a bit further.
Yeah, that's
down.
beautiful.
It's really stunning. There's like a stone gateway entrance.
Yeah.
So there's a beautiful story about the family that owned Barafundle Bay, and they owned the hall up the road called Stackpole.
Yeah.
And the guy that married the woman that then ended up being the couple that lived at Stackpole, he came in on the Storm in a ship in the night and ended up meeting this woman by accident, fell in love, and they even today the descendants of them are campaigning for families in the area to have their land given back to them, because it was all claimed by the MOD.
Yeah.
But yeah, years ago, before it was MOD land, they used to have servants sweep the beach with brooms, because all the locals and the children would play on the beach, but because it was owned by the family, the servants would go down and sweep it to make it look like nobody had been on the beach. It's really weird.
Yeah, crazy, yeah. The row around the UK, how did that come about?
Yeah, that came about just by chance, not long after I finished the walk, because I'd previously done a fair amount of rowing and rowing coaching. I'd rowed internationally, but I also rowed across the Atlantic with my best friend a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so I had a lot of qualifications that suited the role of captain in a boat in that challenge, and the guys there asked if I would be willing to give it a go and take a team round, and I sort of thought about it for a bit, and the thing that swung it for me was that we were going to be collecting scientific data from around the coast, and it would be the first kind of data set of its kind. So working with Portsmouth University, we were able to collect data on microplastics, sea temperature. We were sound mapping the whole of the UK as we went round as well, so we had a hydrophone attached to the boat, which was pretty cool.
What's that for?
Well, it was kind of to figure out lots of different things, but partly migration patterns of different types of animal.
Okay.
Which is kind of fascinating, because that we're trying to work out if those migration patterns are influenced by the pollution levels in those particular parts of the sea. And if we're having an impact as human beings on the animal world in that way.
I see.
And we are. And the report came out this year, and it is fascinating, and it kind of fills me with a lot of pride to know that I've helped that research.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I decided I would do it. I spoke to my wife and my children about it, and I think they'd just get used to me suggesting these things, and she just rolled her eyes a bit. Probably wasn't the best thing to ask if I could go and do straight after coming home from walking for 400 odd days. But yeah, I went for it, and I had their support and stuff. It started better than it ended. We can say that.
Right.
But yeah, it was.
Was it just tough towards the end though?
It was tough in that I had a team of 5, including me, one of which would have been the first amputee to circumnavigate the UK in a rowing boat. She was amazing. She was really, really lovely girl, but she was amputee from the knee down on one leg. I had my second mate was a lady called Emma, really lovely woman. She was the RAF cadet ambassador, I think, and she was a former RAF officer, really, really lovely. I had another guy in the boat who was an Olympian, former bobsleigh GB captain Lamin, who was just a beautiful personality, just absolutely amazing guy. And then another guy, Jason, who was very similar to me. There was a real kinship there. We'd done a lot of different adventures together. Sorry, that we'd done separately, but were very similar. And he'd previously rowed around Britain as well. Really nice guy. But we were kind of thrown together and didn't have very long to train or very much opportunity to be together on the water. We did a few things. We did like Plymouth down to Portsmouth, over a couple of days. Really, I'd like to have done that a few more times, but we just didn't have a lot of opportunity. But anyway, so we trained together, we got sponsorship together, we raised a lot of money, and we raised some money for the Royal Marsden Cancer Hospice in London, which was cool. And we left Tower Bridge in London, headed down the Thames, and sort of turned right towards Dover, and then turned right again towards sort of Land's End, went all the way along the south coast, and then turned right again up past Cornwall and the Lizard and past Wales into the Irish Sea, where we experienced the worst storm they've had in 40 years apparently. So we struggled with that.
We carried on.
We carried on as far as we could get, but we were rescued along with the other 2 boats that were in the challenge, and we were rescued to a place called, near Newcastle on the west coast of Ireland. East coast of Ireland, sorry. And a few days later we were able to set off again, made some repairs to the boat, a few people a bit shaken up, we'd had a little bit of a capsize, but we got going again, the team showed real resolve, and we got together, set off again. And as we were coming across the Irish Channel a few days into that, we were headed towards Campbelltown, which is the Scottish peninsula. It's a beautiful place, I absolutely love Campbelltown. But again, massive storm struck. And by the time I came back on shift, the boat was pretty much in panic, and it was in a dire situation, so I had to make the call as captain and say, we've got to call for rescue. We're not going to make this. Based on the calculation from where we were at the time to reaching the shore and the speed over ground, I was concerned that we wouldn't survive. So we called for rescue, and then the Irish Coast Guard said that they would be speaking to various RNLI stations in the area, and they would probably get to us within the hour. And I said, we don't have an hour, based on what I've worked out. And they looked and they confirmed and said, yeah, okay. So we've scrambled a helicopter from Campbelltown, and they'll be with you in 11 minutes. And I can remember them saying it over the radio. I'd set our alarms off and our EPIRBs and stuff like that, giving the guys on the deck some instructions, and I was looking after the other person in the cabin with me. And I said, when they said there'll be 11 minutes, I literally clicked my watch to mark that time, and no word of a lie, the winchman dropped down from the helicopter to the boat almost to the second. And that was pretty amazing. So we were winched off the boat, we threw an anchor line out just to see if it would catch, because we didn't want to lose the boat. We all spent the night in Campbelltown Police Station, because it's the only place we could get to at that time, and they were amazing. The police were really lovely to us, and the Coast Guard staff were just incredible, absolutely incredible. And they've just since released a Channel 5 documentary episode about that particular rescue, because they said it was the most technical rescue in a long time. So it's quite again, like, I shouldn't be proud of that, but I feel quite proud to have been involved in that. And it was an exciting. But after that, the MCA, so the Maritime Authority, said, we can't let you go. So we're going to call it. So we got a long way round, but we still had a couple of weeks to get back. So that's always going to be there in the back of my mind, that I need to complete
try it all again. We're going to start and just do the last bit. Just a completion thing.
But it was weird to see it from that perspective, the coast, I mean, because I walked sort of anti-clockwise. I walked clockwise around the coast. And then, like, to be rowing that and seeing it from the sea rather than from the land.
Again, completely different.
It was quite an amazing thing, actually. But I loved it. Even the rescue, as much as people said it must have been scary and it must have been really hard and difficult to settle your mind with, I loved it, because I trained for it as well. It's not like we just went into this foolhardy, not expecting any danger. I spent my life in dangerous situations, and it is what it is. So yeah, but it was good fun.
Yeah, that sounds like a crazy adventure. I think we might leave it there because it's got a little bit noisy out there now. So.
I know, it's a shame.
Yeah,
but people enjoy the sun.
We'll have to do another one sometime. So
I'm here regularly, and you know, we're pretty close to each other. So yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
It's been brilliant. Yeah.